is Tall Can Audio.
Here it is!
Here we are again. All new episode of the Tall Can Audio podcast. Back to talk about what everybody in the city of Toronto is talking about on Wednesday morning. Chris Bassett goes 6 1/3 innings of shutout ball, just 3 hits allowed. Jays take down the Astros 4-2 in a bounce back from a disappointing performance. Please, dear Lord, do not make me talk about the other fucking thing. Matty Laing is here. What's going on, man?
I feel like I was when I was 8 when Yokozuna put The Undertaker in the casket.
Or squashed Bret Hart.
Everybody from the back.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. And the lightning flashes and he disappears, and then you don't know where The Undertaker's gone for 6 months.
Yeah, he raises up to heaven, and that might happen with the Leafs. That was a real thing that happened on a wrestling show. They said he was, I don't know, he floated up to heaven.
That was a real thing that just happened on the ice.
It's true.
Jesus, that looked like the ghost of Christmas past out there.
It was pretty bad, man. 7-3, Lightning take game 1. Look, just quickly before we dive right into it, I had sort of said in a couple of earlier pods, I don't think we're going to do this again this year. And then I texted you and you're like, I'm fucking up for it. And I'm like, all right. So we're not committing to late night shows after every game, but we will throughout the series touch base, see how it's going. It's not going good right now. We'll get right into it, man. I thought.
Yeah, I guess before you get into it, I shared with you a quickly photoshopped photo I was going to do for fun for us for these, but it doesn't look like I have to make that many.
No, it's not looking like it's going to be that fun, but we will share.
We could maybe
one. Two dudes with attitude.
We could maybe throw that up for the good listener.
Sure. We will do that.
Nobody's going to be hiring me based on that Photoshop, but it's okay.
We're 3 minutes into the show already on our second wrestling reference. You people will be able to check that out on our Instagram at Tall Can Audio and on our Twitter as well. Look, we can dive right in, man. There wasn't a whole lot to be happy about. I thought the power play was okay. I thought Willie was okay, although because you played most of the game shorthanded, he was 7th in ice time behind guys like Kerfoot and Achari, which is ridiculous. But I didn't think Matthews and Marner inflicted themselves on the game all that much outside of the power play.
Not at all.
Samsonov gives up 6. You can argue how many of those were his fault, but that was not a good outing. The penalty kill was not good. Man, it wasn't a good night. What'd you see?
What I think it's what we didn't see. I think it's what we didn't see. There was one point towards the end of the second period, I looked at I was watching the game with my beer league team, and I looked over, I said, I think we're better in our own zone than these guys are at the moment. It looked like our defensemen were flat-footed. It looked like they were caught in cement.
Everybody but Jake McCabe. I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not like singling people. I'm just saying, as a whole, they looked like there was too many times and too many of the goals that Tampa beat them to the front of the net. And I want to say it was when we got to 3-2, I think it was the 4th goal. If it was the 5th goal, I don't know. I forgot.
Yeah.
Because there were so many, unfortunately. But, we get one guy, we have 4 guys on one side of the ice, like Tim Mid Hockey. Our defenseman's caught in the middle, plays it okay. I can't even remember who was coming across the ice because it was so bad. But, the Tampa forward beat 2 of our guys to the front of the net, got the pass, put it in net. There was 2 other goals, goddammit, where, Tampa was alone in front of the net and was allowed to deke like a non-contact men's league game out in front of the net.
Right.
And you can't, never mind Tampa, never mind Boston, you're not going to beat anybody playing like that. I don't know if it was jitters. I don't know if it was maybe the pressure. I don't know. But that was not the defense and the defensive play from the forwards either that we've seen. We're talking about a Leaf team that does not give up that many goals.
Right.
And that was not a defensive performance. And I get it. We get it to 3-2, and then it's penalty, 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 Then we get, everybody's going to throw Bunting under the bus here. Listen, I looked at one of my buddies and said, Bunting's going to do something stupid because of the weak-ass calls that were getting made.
Did that, right? Like, we went into this series going, he's going to be in pot, like, he's going to get boned in this series. The refs are going to be looking for him. And then he goes out and makes it that fucking easy on them, right? Like, he does something ridiculous.
Thing. I'm not
That's a Nazem Kadri play.
Upset about it. I'm not even upset about it because at that point, you're looking at somebody, and this happens at the beer league level, right? If the refs are just calling stupid penalties the whole way through, you overreact. You act like a toddler and you do something stupid, and you know the guy in your team who's going to do it. This is why Bunting's on the team, because he's that guy. Leaf fans complain when we don't have that guy, and then we complain when we have that guy. This is what that guy does. There's one on every team. I knew it was going to happen. I mean, I know he threw the elbow. He didn't look that bad. I'm pretty sure the guy took a little bit of a dive there, whatever.
Well, at that point, Chernak's not coming back, right? You sell that, make sure he gets suspended, and then he comes back.
He down to make sure he's suspended. We all know that.
Right.
Like,
and that's why he stayed out as well. And at the same time, you're way up. So if he is banged up, you just leave him out and whatever.
Yeah.
But he'll be back for game 2, I assume.
I'm not saying Bunting should have done that.
No.
You could tell the cross-check.
Do you think he's getting suspended?
On Shen. Man, only because it's Bunting. I
think he's probably getting a game or two for that.
Yeah. I think he's definitely getting a game. I think it's okay because I think it actually brings Matthew Nyes in, and then we get to see what he can do in that top 6.
Well, let's get into that for a second, because right off the hop, the conversation was, and I kind of agreed with this, right? If you start Matthew Nyes, and there's a good chance it was probably Zach Aston Reese or Sam Lafferty that was going to sit. Those guys are vets. They've been here. They've been contributing, Aston Reese especially. And if you put Nyes in and it doesn't work, now the message you send to him is, you're bad. We're taking you out. It's going poorly. And you're having to say to Zach Aston Reese, you weren't, you're the guy we chose to sit down. Come back in. We need you now. All of that is bad, right? So you put Aston Reese in and you hope it goes well. And if not, now you can say to the kid, be ready. And you can say to Aston Reese, you got the first crack at it. Like, they handled this correctly. And the reason was that Zach Aston Reese is the veteran. He's sound defensively. He won't make mistakes that kill you like Matthew Nyes might make a nervous rookie mistake. And on, 70 seconds in, Zach Aston Reese blows it in his own zone against the fourth line for Tampa, and you're down 1-0. And immediately you're just like, fuck, right? So I don't know what they do now. I assume it is Matthew Nyes that comes in if Bunting is suspended, but I don't know that you're going to put him right up in the top 6 because Keefe's already shown, I'm not quite certain you were ready for this. So now someone else is going to have to go up. Is it probably Kerfoot back up on that top line with Matthews? That's going to stink. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't love the idea. And then, listen, it's hard to... Oh, man, what do I say? I was... as we were discussing about should we do this tonight or tomorrow, I was thinking to myself, well, what, I'm actually not that upset. It was better we got blown out like that because teams come back better from a loss like that than they do from a 2-1 overtime loss.
We should point out that Toronto won game 1 5-0, and then Tampa came back and punted the shit out of them in game 2. So you can...
Exactly, right? Like, it happened.
Yeah.
It's hockey. It's a game that bounces. As much as I was upset that Matthews wasn't able to assert himself, what did he get? Like 2 minutes in the second period? Because we were on the penalty kill the whole goddamn time.
Yeah, and I got a beef with
we were setting ourselves
on that too. No, right? Like once you're killing a 5-minute penalty, sorry, Matthews, you're gonna have to kill penalties right now. Like if we need you in the game and invested, he's gonna have to get involved and do that. And I thought Keefe had a pretty bad game too. There was that segment, maybe 2-3 minutes in, whatever it was, when he puts his line out, and so then Tampa they make a change. And then Toronto makes a change, and then as soon as the pucks drop, Tampa goes and makes another. You are the better team here. You are the deeper team here. Who gives a shit what John Cooper's doing? You do what you want to do, and you make him adjust to you, especially on home ice. You don't get sucked into this shit.
Again, I know the market we're in, and I know the expectations, and I know people are under the limelight. I get it. Like, we all do, right? It's hard to come after a guy who is got the highest winning percentage after 100 games for the league.
He does this stuff, man.
For a team that has a 100-year history, right? Like, it's hard. This was not good. you could see he was frazzled by the calls. He was getting frustrated by the game, the way the game was getting called to, and it is the coach's job to steer the ship. So that falls on him.
He overthinks things sometimes, man. Like you've had the second best power play all year long, and at the very last minute with 3 games to go, you start taking Nylander off of it and putting O'Reilly there. Like the power play was okay, but you're overthinking things. This is you've never played Tavares with Matthews and Marner before, but you come down to your last possible string in the bubble, and all of a sudden you go to the super line and Willie's back in the like. He does these things sometimes when he's under pressure where you're just like, I don't know why you did that. Yes. Right? Like,
that was actually going to be one of the things that I was actually upset at the beginning of the game. And then, of course, they go in and score 2 power play goals, and I'm like, well,
power play looks all right, I guess.
It's O'Reilly and Nylander, and I'm like, why would you take Nylander off the line? Like, he's the last guy you want to be screwing around with, and I'm, got my hands up in the air before the puck's even dropped because it's, they're reporting on it, and I'm like, this is stupid. And of course, they go, those were our 2 best goals. So then I'm like, oh, what do I know? But I mean, I guess you could do stuff like that when you have guys this talented. I do think he overthought his play.
Yep.
I mean, the play, as we know, should be put Matthews out there, and then figure the rest
probably fucking play. Right.
The best player the Toronto Maple Leafs have ever had lace-up skates should just be on the ice as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
That is just when the best player we ever had was Doug Gilmour, Pat Burns put that motherfucker out every time he could. Yeah. And I get he played different roles, but he played the shit out of him so bad he had to get IVs during playoff games because he was losing so much weight.
No, you're right.
Matthews should play everything. And I love Tavares. He is a stone pillar, but he is not Auston Matthews.
No. So
you got to get Matthews on the ice.
As we sit here now, obviously we're upset. This was a gong show from minute 1 to minute 60. It doesn't have to mean anything. I think it's entirely possible and perhaps entirely likely that they come back in game 2 and look far better, right? This was a case of jitters early on, which is unacceptable. You've done this enough times. You shouldn't still have jitters. But as they started to settle in and get it going in the second period, that's when the wheels came off with the penalties and everything else. And the game just got away from you. You can come back and have a good game too. My question right now is, are you prepared at this point to change up the goalie for game 2 and go to Joseph Woll? Because I think I wouldn't make that move yet. Samsonov was good for you all year, but he does have a pretty questionable playoff record, only an .895 save percentage in the playoffs now. And Joseph Woll gets the third period. I understand why you were down or out of it anyway. And so maybe you're letting a banged up Samsonov kind of get some rest, get out of there. Yeah. At the same time, you did now get Joseph Woll in there, and those first time playoff jitters, in theory, are gone. If you have to make a quick switch, in theory, but if you have to make a quick switch later, the kid's now been in there, he's felt it, he's seen Tampa a bit more. Do you think that was getting him ready to start game 2, or was that just a mercy pull?
No, and I said to my buddies, during that second period when it started to roll away, I was like, we need to call a timeout, or we need to get the goalie out of here. We need just something to stop what's happening here. They obviously were trying to ride it out. And again, it's different watching the game to being on the bench. You want to trust your players. And this was maybe the worst case scenario of any game, right? And if this is the worst case scenario, then okay, we got all of it out of our system, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Samsonov, I mean, you got to go back to him next game.
I think so, yeah.
Because what?
But if you're down 2-0 fast, I won't wait. I can't wait. This guy's not.
No, I know. If you go down, if you lose next game 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, it's fine.
I don't even mean go down 2-0 in the series. I mean if we're down 2-0 in game 2, 11 minutes in. I'll go to Woll.
Yeah. If we're down 2-0 a couple minutes in, you gotta do something at that point.
Can't wait.
Right? It's no different than a starting pitcher in Game 7 of the World Series.
Right.
even though you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, you got to make.
Don't have time.
You can't do it now because, like you said with Austin Reeves and Matthew Nyes, if you make the change today, unless they walk into practice tomorrow and Samsonov is just shelled in his eyes.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're not bringing Samsonov back.
If you make the change, and then Wall gets hurt,
or
Wall
sucks,
gives up an easy one, or sucks.
Yeah.
How do you go to Samsonov?
Yep.
Now you're fine.
That's right.
Right? You gotta go back to the well one more time. He's been good all season.
Yep.
The playoffs are set up. There's no back-to-backs. We got time. It's fine. It's okay. You got to trust the guy's been good on average. Not to say he hasn't had a stinker here or there. Every goalie does.
Yep.
It's okay. Right? I wanna be positive and say, listen, it doesn't matter in the playoffs how much you win. You can win by 1, you can win by 10. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You got to win 4.
And Tampa crushed Toronto in game 2. So both of the first 2 games were an absolute stomping.
Yes. So it doesn't matter. Like, these teams are evenly matched. We know that. We know this is going to be a dogfight. We know Toronto's a better team this year. Over 7 games, we got to assume it's going to happen.
Yep.
And now, listen, the Leafs could come out and put up 4 wins in a row.
Yeah, sure.
Right? That's the type of team this is. My big concern, it wasn't actually Samsonov. Like I said, and I started my rant about it, was how we were defending them. The way they were cutting to the net, we either need to, the Leafs do a good, I'm so upset I can't get these words out, right? The Leafs have been, for the last 2 years, very good at having a forward, I was going to say the center, but a forward get into the defensive end and pick up the third guy. We're chasing them around the ice. We're not attacking anybody. We're not playing the hockey we're used to watching them play. And again, games get out of hand, or whatever it is. Okay. There was 3 of those goals that were not Samsonov's fault at all.
Yeah, the second one, especially, remember, he'd already made 2 saves. You give somebody 3 cracks at your goalie, they're going to score.
Yeah, that was awful. Yeah. That second goal was awful. You're like, what are you guys, clear the net, get in front of the puck, do something. They weren't tying up sticks. Yeah. Man, I really want to just chalk this up to a bad one, but we're not going to win if we're not moving in the defensive end and we're not back checking and not getting that third guy in. That's you can't beat a team like Tampa, like Boston. That's one. Number 2, I'm going to give Matthews a weak pass because the time he was on the ice, he was making some stuff happen.
Yeah.
What, was he putting stuff in there? No.
He wasn't dominant. He wasn't imposing, but there were times you're like, oh, here he is, right? Like,
there were some flashes. And I was good with that. Given his ice time. Willie showed me the flashes. JT was there. ROR was doing his thing. Mitch Marner was near invisible to me. And there's a couple times where he was close to the puck and he just didn't, that gear that he's shown us the last, it just looked like he wasn't engaged. I don't know, it was up. That was a big concern to me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of last season, we talked about this and I said, I hate to think that after me arguing so long that you keep your star players, you can't find a guy who scores 100 points every year.
No. We all knew.
Don't give those guys away.
To the top 4 guys.
But last year, I finally started coming around and going, man, does this guy just not have this? Is he a Johnny Gaudreau?
Savage.
Is he just not have it when it matters? He's a talented dude. And I love him. He's a Toronto kid. He's a friendly Toronto kid. How can we not love this kid? But there's, man. And I want to just believe
it's too soon. It's too soon, man. We'll see.
Right? I don't want to be on that train.
Yeah.
So today was not a good day.
Well, he's had some good playoffs too. So we'll see, right? This is we got to be careful not to overdo this. Tonight was a shit show. The series began last year on a shit show, but in the other direction.
Yeah.
And it still came down to 1-goal games in games 5, 6, and 7. And so it's by no means over. It's a question of, venting some frustration here and then seeing what happens in game 2. And if they put out another performance like that, then everybody, you're down 2-0 going back to Tampa. This is probably going to be short. But right now, it's a bad night, and we'll see from there. I'm with you to come all the way back. Hold on. I'm with you. I'm going to come all the way back around to Joseph Woll because you took us from there in a whole other direction. I do think tonight was about get in there, feel it, see what Tampa's doing when they've stepped it up to playoff mode as opposed to just riding out the end of the season like you saw last week. I don't expect they will start him in game 2, but I do think that this was about make sure that guy's ready because Samsonov has shown in the past he's not a playoff guy. He has been good for you all year, so you go back to him, and we'll see what happens. But he will be, I think, on a short leash in game 2. You're going to see Matthew Knies, I think you're right, in game 2 if Bunting is suspended. If Bunting isn't suspended, are you taking any of those fourth line guys? Like, if you were going to put Knies in instead of Zach Aston Reese, maybe you'd have taken Sam Lafferty out for Knies. I thought Sam Lafferty was pretty noticeable tonight.
I like Lafferty, man. Right? He does what he does, but, and I like that in a guy, in a hockey player, right? Like, you know what you're getting. You're not expecting anything dramatic. He's a good hockey player.
If Micheal Bunting isn't suspended, do you expect to see lineup changes and Matthew Knies get in there? We've talked before that the hype train was getting out of control on this kid. I thought he looked fine in his 3 regular season games. Not dominant, but not scared. I would consider it, but I'm not sure that Sheldon Keefe, if Bunting is available, Bunting is staying in. Yeah. And I would imagine for one more game, both of those fourth line guys that have been with you for a while stay in too. Do you disagree and think they might make changes if they don't, like, even if they don't have to?
No, I think they roll everything out the same. Honestly, like
Justin Hall had a rough start, but he goes up and down too, right? Like Shen,
I could see Matthew Knies getting in. Yeah. I could see Matthew Knies getting in regardless, because I think they're going to look at this game and say, we need another guy who can move.
I think they might look at the game and say, flush it. It's just a terrible night.
No, maybe they say that, but again, the biggest thing that I saw today was a team who is flat-footed.
Yep.
There is and this is why I'm maybe a little bit more upset today than I've been in years past about one game. There is absolutely no excuse for a flat-footed response like this to game 1 on home ice to start the playoffs for a team that put up 100 points and is the most skilled we've ever been. Maybe this is the embarrassing experience this team needed.
I think this team has had more than enough embarrassing experiences. This was...
But in a different way.
Not to me, man. To me, this was the dream date of every other Canadian fan base who watched all year long, knowing their team wasn't even going to be in it come playoff times. I'll at least get to watch the Leafs suck in the playoffs. And they came out in game 1 and they sucked in the playoffs, man. This was...
I was going to say, I think this was the worst one. No, I'm agreeing with you. I think this is the worst. That's what I'm saying.
They've been embarrassed a few times.
They've been embarrassed. I'm just saying, this to me is more embarrassing.
Yeah. Fair enough.
This was embarrassing for that team. It was embarrassing for the city, quite frankly.
Let's get out of here, man. We're going to keep these short. We'll be back in and out throughout the series, sometimes late night, sometimes the next day. We'll see what happens.
Well, the next one's going to be more fun, right? The next one's going to be better.
Can't be less fun.
Be in a better mood Thursday night.
Ideally, yeah. For Matty Laing, my name's Matt Robinson. We'll see you for Buds and Bolts, Game 2.